All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakabadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. Peace and salutation to the Akim and to the elect that are scattered throughout the four corners of this earth, which in the truth and faith and sincerity. I'm the brother Shamala from GMS Houston Camp, and this lesson is going to be entitled, Esau has to pay, for the blood he spilled. And whose blood did he spill? He spilled the chosen, right, of the Heavenly Father, right, which his name is Yahweh, and his son's name is Yahweh Shai, whom the world ignorantly called Jesus Christ. He spilled the chosen people of the Lord, which is the Israelites, all right? And contrary to popular belief, it is the Negroes, the Latinos, and Native Americans that are the true chosen people of the Lord. The ones who are written about within the scriptures, the ones who were delivered out of ancient Egypt by way of Moses, okay? The ones who actually lived in the land, already received the promises, right? The blessings, right? And as long as with the curses as well, all right? We are those people, and the Lord, brought us right under captivity under Esau Edom, so-called white man, to receive, punishment for being disobedient unto him, not listening and being obedient to the law, statutes, commandments. Okay. And instead of being obedient, we, just went off and went astray and followed the ways of these different nations and clung on to their ways and to their gods and to their idols. All right, so it was a judgment for that. And the judgment, like I said, was captivity. And one of the things that's talked about a lot, or one of the most tragic things that happened in history. Okay, the tragic thing is the transatlantic slave trade. Okay, and these things were brought upon the Southern Kingdom. All right, so they were brought over here in the shores of America, and then you had Columbus and all of them guys, right? They came over here before. The Southern Kingdom came. The Northern Kingdom was already dwelling over here, and they came over here and shed blood. Right? They shipped them off as well. All right, but the blood that has been spilled, okay, will not go unpunished. All right. The Lord, okay, will bring judgment. All right. And I'm thinking of a particular precept. And yeah, I'll just actually just get that later. Um, but yeah, let's get Revelation 17, right? And the 6th verse. Now we're going into this chapter is going to Babylon, right? The great whore. All right, the woman that sat upon the beast, and the woman, the great whore, is referring to America. All right, the beast represents the NATO and the EU. So this is this man's power structure. All right, this is the system of Rome reincarnated again today. All right, so this is referring unto him, and it's going into the things that this beast has done in the planet Earth, on how that it spread its ways, throughout the planet. Right, the nations took hold onto it, took hold of the dollar, the democracy, all these particular things, you know, and basically just messed up the planet, man, and messed up these different nations, societies. Right, that's why it speaks about that the nations are drunk of a wine and the nations are mad. All right, they completely just had them tripping, right, drunk off that wine. All right, and also go to the abominations of this place. All right, and then we read, verse 6, right, which we'll get into right now. It says, it's Revelation 17:6, and I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the saints and with the blood of the martyrs of Yahushua. And when I saw her, I wondered with great admiration. All right. And it says that this woman was drunken with the blood of the saints. All right, now who are the saints? This is Psalms 50:5. It says, gather my saints together unto me, those that have made a covenant with me by sacrifice. Now, who have made a covenant with the Lord? The Israelites. Right, you go back into the book of Exodus. Like when we came out of Egypt in the wilderness and we received the covenant. All right, we made that pact or that agreement with him. So the saints are referring to us. All right. So it says drunken with the blood of the saints. I just named, two great events that happened, right? What happened to the Northern Kingdom, right? Gad, Reuben, right? So-called Native American Indians, Seminole Indians, right? And also the Southern Kingdom, the Negroes, the Latinos, Native Americans, so-called Negroes, all right? All of the blood that has been shed, all right, in this land, right? Our blood of our people, all right, is drunken with the blood, all right? And what does Numbers 35 say? All right, Numbers 35:33. So you shall not pollute the land wherein ye are, for blood it defileth the land. All right, so blood defiles a land and pollutes it. All right, so this is a problem. This is an issue. How do you solve this issue? And the land cannot be cleansed of the blood that is shed therein, but by the blood of him that shed it. So the one who shed the blood, his blood has to be shed. All right. And that's the only way that it could be done. That is the solution to this problem. All right. The one who shed it, his blood has to be shed. All right. So what that sounds like to me is what justice. Okay. That's justice. And that's what we're waiting on. All right, which our Lord Yahushua is coming back, to bring all these things into effect. And I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the saints and the blood of the martyrs of Yahushua. And when I saw her, I wondered with great admiration, right? Because when you got to think about it, right, that this whore or this beast system is coming back, all right? And Revelation, the 13th chapter, speaks about, the beast, the dragon had the wound, all right, that was healed, right? When you go, let's see real quick. All right. All right, speaks about the beast, right? In verse 3. And I saw one of his heads as were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. So, right, the beast had a deadly wound that was healed because Rome ended up falling, right? Then you had the so-called, dark ages to where, they were on the bottom, right? Then they came back during the Renaissance period, all right? Start spewing out all of the madness and iconoclasm and all of that. But this is Rome coming back, right? This is that fourth beast that's written about in Daniel 7th chapter. All right. So what happened in Rome? Right? Rome had the martyrs. All right, the apostles and the believers that were put to death. All right, this man had to pay for all of that. Okay, he had to pay for it all. This is Revelation 13 again, right? And 9. If any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here's the patience and the faith of the saints. So this is what we're waiting on. All right. If you bring somebody into captivity, you got to go into captivity. So that's why we say that this man is going into captivity under the Israelites. All right. This is justice. This is payback. Okay. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword, and that's all he had done, because he's been given the blessing of the sword and to rule, by the sword. All right. So now it's time for you to get that. Okay. Because here's the patience and the faith of the saints. And this is what we want. This is what we are praying for the Lord to bring. All right. And we know that it's coming. All right, we just gotta have the patience for it. All right, we are ready. We are ready to receive this. All right. We are ready to put punishment upon the heathen, like it says in Psalms. Okay. This is 2nd Ezra 15 and 7. Therefore, thus saith the Lord, I will hold my tongue no more as touching their wickedness, which they profanely commit. Neither will I suffer them in those things in which they wickedly exercise themselves. Behold, the innocent and righteous blood crieth unto me, and the souls of the just complain continually. And therefore said the Lord, I will surely avenge them and receive unto me all the innocent blood from among them. Right. So the Lord is going to, like you said, avenge the blood that was spilled. All right. Because the men of the Lord, that are in the kingdom, that are in the spiritual realm, right? They cry. They cry out to the Most High. It's like Abel cried out against Cain, and he heard him. All right. Those who are in his faith, they enter the spirit world do the same. Right. Even the 2/3 that died, right, and transfer over. All right. They are in their right minds, right, in the spiritual realm, and they began to cry out. So the Lord is going to avenge his people. All right. This is not going to go unnoticed or unjudged. Esau has crimes to pay for. All right. This is Psalms 149 and 5. Let the saints be joyful in glory. Let them sing aloud upon their beds. Right. The beds represents rest. We will have our rest in the kingdom of heaven. All right. And we will sing. All right. And we will have beautiful voices. All right. To be able to sing. All right. Because we say, let the saints be joyful in glory. Man, we're going to be in the kingdom. Okay. It's going to be nothing to be sad about. All right. Each and every day, man, is going to be something to get into. Everything is going to be exciting. Everything's going to be full of, love and joy. Right. And all of these things. All right. We're going to be in great spirits. Let the high praise of the Most High be in their mouth and a two-edged sword in their hand. All right. So we're going to praise the Most High continually every day in the kingdom. Which says also a two-edged sword in their hand. And a sword is not used just for, to hang on the wall or just for show. No, it's meant to be, used for judgment. All right. It says to execute vengeance upon the heathen and punishments upon the people. So this is what we're going to be doing. All right. It's not like we're going to be tyrants, right? Is that the correct word? And just beating the heathen for no reason. Okay, the only one to go get that is Esau Edom. All right, he just done for. All right, but the other nations, all right, we're gonna deal justly with it. As far as when they go off, that's when we will judge them. All right, when they're not obedient, because the nation's gonna be able to go into their lands, right, and we're gonna have people set up over them to rule those lands. All right, but they're gonna be able to go and be in their lands and to live. Esau Edom, he's not gonna be able to do that. He's gonna be getting his ass beat. All right, which that's just justice too. All right, it's payback for what he have done. All right, it says that he shall receive double. All right, but it says to bind their kings with chains and their nobles with fetters of iron. So their kings and their nobles, right? The people that run this place. They say the Rothschilds, the Rockefeller, the elites. All right, so we're gonna have them in chains. Okay, we're gonna bind them, and they're gonna go into captivity. Can you imagine that? Like having the elites, the top men of this society, who we ain't even seen, they're gonna be bound before us with chains on their neck, chains on their legs or their feet. How we were, and you're gonna put them to work. All right, it says to execute upon them the judgment written. This honor have all his saints. Praise Yahweh. It said this honor have all his saints. So every Israelite is going to take part in this, regardless they like it or not. Because they on this side, they get all emotional about it and say that we can't have them in slavery. Slavery is bad. But they're going to be the main ones in the kingdom of heaven, right? Getting down. All right. After they figure out, you know, what went on, and you know that this was the truth, and all the things that Esau done did, and the lies, and all of that, bro. They gonna put a foot, all right, so far up his behind. All right. And we're gonna do the same. So hope this lesson was edifying. All right, with that, I'm gonna say shalom.